Hello and welcome back to VM Tools. My name is Peter. In this episode of Weekend at the Workshop, I think it's episode number 3 now, I will finish this chuck. I'm doing a backing plate for this 4-jar chuck, and in the first part I did most of the machining on the lathe. In this video you will see some more machining in the cast iron, and we're using the tool bit Sumitomo, and you will also see me working on the mill doing some drilling and tapping. And I would also like to tell you a little episode about my grandfather. All this work is done in cast iron, and I do not particularly like working in cast iron, and neither did my grandfather. He thought it was a shitty job, and this is not a figure of speak, this is actual speak. You really get dirty when you work on cast iron. And he was a machinist and did a lot of lathe job. And when he was working on the lathe, and all of you have been working in cast iron on a lathe, you know it's quite dusty. And he was scratching his eyes with his hands, and on his eyebrows it developed a lot of blackheads. And it was my father's job when my grandfather came home and he hasn't washed off his face, and he saw all those blackheads. He told my father, "Boy, get a plier." And then my father had a job to take a plier and take all the blackheads out. And I would say that the young generation today, machinists and other people, are not up to the spec what the old people were. And I hope you will enjoy this second part of the backing plate, and keep watching. Okay, as you can see, I'm back, and it has been a little longer than I thought. You can see I've changed and put a hat on my head. And I decided I would not change the bit just yet, because this backing plate is now 240 millimeters in diameter, and the stud that we're making should be 217 millimeters in diameter, and we need to take it back 6 millimeters. So I will do 2 more roughing cuts. I will take 3 millimeters in and go down to 220, and take another cut of 3 millimeters to 220, and then I will change the bit to a new corner, and then we will take a final pass, and then I will have maybe 1/10 of a millimeter more to take again 6 millimeter cut and into 217. So that's what we will do now. 2 roughing cuts and then the final cuts. So I will zoom you in so you will see the work a little better. So here we go. And I will also tell you that I have increased my speed now from 250 to 314 for these cuts. So let's go in 3 millimeters. So just checking that I'm all right. And yes, we are at 220. So let's make another cut of 3 millimeters. And here we go. Okay, so we are 6 millimeters in, and we are at 220 millimeters in diameter. So now I will change the bit around, and then we will do some final cuts. Okay, we're ready. I changed my feed for this fine pass to 0.172 millimeters per revolution. And maybe we should adjust our position of the tool a little. And there's, and I just a little just fine dust coming off, and I think we have a pretty good surface. Okay, the surface is good in general, and there is a little porous, but I don't think we will do anything about it. We'll leave that, and we will again readjust our tool. So we will just touch the surface and then we will have a new 0, and I will again adjust this 0 as well. Okay, so we're shooting for just a bit over 217, so we have 3 millimeters to go, and this late the dials is in the radius. So let me come in here, and we will take a cut for 1/2 millimeter on the radius. That's 1 millimeter on the diameter. So here we go. Coming up to the 6 millimeter point, and go just for 6 millimeters and go back. Okay. Let me see where we're at. Okay, we will take another 1/2 millimeter on the radius. And again, check our measurements. Okay, we're now at 218, and as I can tell, we should go exactly 1 millimeter more on the radius, but I will do it in 2 steps, so we're sure. So now it's a light cut. The radius is 25 hundredths of a millimeter. And that should equal 1/2 millimeter on the diameter. So I should be, yes, 6/10 away from the correct measurement. Yep. So we will go another 1/2 millimeter on the diameter, so another 25 on the radius. And let me adjust the rags again, so we protect our keyways. So I will go back out and I will go in the 6 millimeters, and then I will back out. And that should be a fairly snug. So I will get a file and we will chamfer the corners, and then I will test the shock if it will fit. So let's see if we can break those corners. Okay, the edges are broken, and again I will take a little in the backside as well. Okay, so let me take these rags off and then we will bring the shock. And a little protector. I don't think this protector plate will help me all the way, but maybe a little. Okay, as I thought, the protector plate will not help me all the way. So I will need to gently put it away, and that's maybe a little too snug. Okay. Let me see if I can bring a little piece of wood beneath the shock. Okay, a tiny piece of wood, just to have a little leverage. And then again, we will test the fitting. No. And as you can see, I have been measuring this diameter with an ordinary caliper, and normally a caliper only measures tenths of millimeters. So if the precision you're aiming at is tenths of millimeter, then it's okay with the caliper. And if you need to shoot at a 100th of a millimeter, then you need a micrometer. And why do I not use a micrometer? Because I do not have one. So I get into position with my caliper, and as you see, I'm testing. I'm testing and testing and testing, and I know that the measurement, the nominal measurement is probably 217 millimeters. When I measure with the caliper in the shock, I actually have a shy more than 217 millimeter, and I started up with 217 and 1/10 of a millimeter to be sure that I was a little larger than the shock, and I will gradually take it down step by step, and in this way I will have a sufficient enough fitting because it's a 4-jar shock. If it had been an ordinary 3-jar shock, of course it had been a whole other story, but I think we're very close now. So once again, another little skim. Oops, sorry. Zooming the wrong way. Now, let's see. And there we have it. The fit I wanted. Superb. And you can see, I hope in this camera, the 240 millimeter that we roughed out is just barely coming up on the back side of the shock. Okay. The part in the lathe is now finished. We need to drill 4 holes for the fitting of the shock, and then it should be clear and up and running for a new job. Okay, so we are now over at the mill, and I have put my round feeding table. This is not a dividing table, it's just feeding around, and there is an input shaft in this end, so you can drive it from the feed of the machine and make spirals and whatever you need. And this is, I said, this is not rocket science, it's just easy 4 divide, and I have not yet put a shock on this table. So I centered the table up to be true to my quill, and later I put this backing plate up on the table, and I've clamped it down. So now we're in the center, and I have just been measuring the bolt circle for the 4-jar chuck, and it seems to be in inch. And it's 6 3/4, and that's in millimeter, 171 millimeter and 45 tenths. And if we divide that by 2, we have 85 millimeters and 725. So I should move my table 85.72 millimeters. And I like to have the area where I'm drilling as near me as possible, so I will move the table inwards. So I need to count now, and it's 6 millimeters per revolution. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 78, and 84, 85, 85 and a half, 0.6, 0.7, and there we should have it. And just let me feed down a little and we will see where we're at. So, and just let me take one more measurement on the shock. I will be back. Okay, so what I did was I just took the measurement from the edge that I have been machining, and where the circle is for all the 4 bolt holes, and it should be 23 millimeters around, and just doing a checking and seeing that I'm on the center point of this drill bit. And we will drill for 16 millimeters of thread, a normal M16 thread by 2. And the reason is that these are the bolts that were used on the shock, and I have quite a nice caliper here, and you see it's roughly 15.84. I hope you can see this. And this is from the Canadian AccuSize, and if I change here I can see it in inches, and if I press one more I can see it in fractions, and if I measure here I will see, oh, there it was, it's a 5/8 bolt. And for us guys that are measuring in metrics, this is a neat and handy feature for a caliper. So the original bolt on the 4-yaw shock was a 5/8 bolt, and that's close to 16. And in Sweden it's quite difficult to get a hold of a 5/8 bolt, and certainly one of these that's are quite high grade. It's more easy to get an M16 bolt, and there's not so big difference. So I will go by M16. So let's start to work. So this is an old machine, and now it's pumping up the oil pressure in the system. And I will go by 450 RPM. That will suffice both for the center drilling and later for our 14 millimeters drill bit as well. So here we go. And I will also zoom you in so you can see the work a little better, and I hope you will be able to see the scale. I think there is good enough. And here you can see I have the 0 on the table with my mark, and also on this wheel there is a scale, and that's also lined up for 0. So it's easy peasy, it's 90 degrees for all 4 holes. And I will change to the 14mm drill bit now. So the end of the flute I usually line up with the collet and the shock, and then I have a fairly good depth gauge. So whatever I will put on my dials, it will be in tenths of millimeters, and for drilling that's often good enough. So let's drill. So, okay, I adjusted my scale on the quill, so it will be, I know how far I go depth-wise. This will be a blind hole, so it's important for me that the blind hole is fairly equal for all 4 holes. It doesn't matter much, but for me it feels good if all the holes are equally deep, so I remove equal amount of material. So I will keep the balance of the backing plate as good as possible. Okay, there we are, the first hole. 3 more to go. I will not, yeah, it's okay speed. I will not tap in this machine due to the size of this quill. I do not have the feeling in the quill, so I will hand tap the holes later. So, continue. And this time we will move our table around for 90 degrees. So just let me get that out of the way, and then we will release the holding point, and then we will go. So here we go. 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 70, 80, and here we come up on 90 degrees. And here we go. Okay, I decided that not to damage the surfaces of the backing plate. I will let the backing plate stay on the table, and I will try to tap it directly on the machine. It's not as easy to control when you're hanging over the machine, and I think it will be possible anyhow. Just checking that it's fairly square to the surface and good entry. This is a 4-flute M16 tap, and this is cast iron, so it's quite easy to tap holes. And when I get to the bottom, there will be a pile of debris in the bottom, and when I'm finished with all 4 holes, I will take it out and empty the holes, and then I can take the tap for a second run and get a full hole. Anyhow, now I have fitted the shock to the lathe, and I have an overhead camera, and I will show you my dial, what the indicator will say, and I will also zoom in on the shock so you can see the finished product. So this is how it looks, and if you look on the indicator, you will now see it's 0. And you see ripple and some small movements, and there you have 1/100ths of a millimeter, 0, ripple, ripple, and a little maybe back, and 1/100ths forward, and ripple, ripple, ripple. So if we spin it around, I would say it's within 1/100ths of a millimeter, maybe 1.5. and I think this is equal to 6,000 of an inch, but I will put in the correct value in the video. And I think this is a good enough value for, first of all, 4-jar chuck, but also due to the circumstances when I did the work. I didn't have a micrometer in that size for 217 millimeters. Very sad. I tried to buy one before this work, but I didn't get it. Anyhow, I think I succeeded well enough, and I hope to soon show you a video when this chuck is in work, and I hope it will be soon. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please subscribe or hit the like button, and if you don't like it, put a comment and tell me what I can do better. Please help me to do better videos on YouTube, something that you would like to see. Hope to see you again on my channel. Bye bye.